Hello and welcome back to the Royals Review podcast. I'm your host, Dan Worth, joined by my good friend Jimmy. Last time out, we weren't overly positive. This time out, though, Reading have just beaten Wigan 3-1, an away victory for the Royals. So surely, Jim, this is going to be a very positive podcast, right?
I think we'll definitely try and make it as positive as can be, for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, to me, last night is a classic one of those where it really wasn't very pretty, but the outcome is exactly what we wanted and probably more, to be honest.
Yeah.
I thought there was so much of that game which was absolutely terrible. But I think, with that said, that makes coming away with the 3 points like a little bit sweeter. And I think, given that we did claim all of the points, we leave Wigan quite happy. But I still think it's massive alarm bells ringing in a lot of ways, and we need to improve massively.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. So, right, let's talk about the game then. First half for me, and tell me if you agree or disagree, we can just cross the line through that because it was woeful.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't great. I think, like, when the disallowed goal, well, there was the disallowed goal in the sort of first 15, 20 minutes, was it? Up until then, and even after that, I just thought we looked terrible. Like, didn't have a grip on the game whatsoever, hadn't even really been in their half. And you could just kind of see how the game was going to pan out. But then, come the 30th minute, I thought we did have a little bit more control on the game. We weren't really doing anything, but like we were dominating with possession. It was a lot of sideways passing and not a lot going on. But we sort of completely took Wigan out the game. It didn't look like they were going to get any chances, and that sort of saw us through to half time. So yeah, I don't know. By half time, I was like, it was a tough watch, but it's 0-0. We just need to get something after that terrible result last on the weekend.
Yeah, it's quite a good point actually that you make there, is because even though I'm saying that it was woeful, I do think for a lot of the game, Reading were in control of this.
Yeah,
like we've reduced Wigan to very little. Like, I've got the stats here. They had 11 shots. 3 on target, which to be fair is the same amount as we had on target. But I never really felt like they had the game by the scruff of the neck. It felt like we were the team that were dominating. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying dominating in the sense like we were peppering their goal and causing all sorts of problems, because it wasn't the case. But
yeah,
we had more of the ball, quite a lot more of the ball, and just was pretty comfortable. So yeah, I think that alone is a positive to take, and we've got to grab them where we can, as I say, because yeah, it wasn't overly pretty, but I think like in League One particularly, that is such an underrated attribute, I guess is the right word, to keep the ball, don't get flustered and sort of control game. And I think actually Richardson said that in his post match. He was like, we knew we just had to come here and just be patient and control the game and just do our thing. And I do think Reading did do that.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, well, they did at the end of the day. So yeah, you can't complain there. I mean, I think one thing that we've also mentioned like on the last few pods as well is like we just seem to lack a bit of creativity. We seem to just lack that, like, not in the final third, but just sort of like we just don't look anywhere near as good as we did last season in like the opposition's half. There's we don't create too much, and I think that was just quite clear yesterday as well. There just really wasn't that much going on in the game. That being said, the second half was slightly more entertaining, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, let's go into the second half, because Reading came out after half time. And for like 90 seconds to 180 seconds, Reading were awesome. Came flying out the trap, looked a completely different team. And before you know it, 3 minutes later, we're 1-0 up. And I'm thinking, well, what on earth have you been doing for 45 minutes? If you've got that in the locker, surely you go hammer and tong in that fashion in the first half. But yeah, I thought Reading looked great for like 3 or 4 minutes. And I was hoping that would continue. I mean, it didn't, but...
but
do it.
And it's 2-2 for Dorset, who, you know, he's got a bit of flack recently, hasn't he? So, I mean, you look at it like that. He's sort of been, well, I don't know if it's the right word for it, but like we've almost like relied on him over these last two games. He's been like a key player for us. You know, he gave us that lifeline against Wimbledon, just about. Obviously, nothing came from it in the end. And then wait, no, was it Wimbledon? Was it he scored against Wimbledon or was it Northampton? He scored, yeah, obviously 2-2. And then yeah, he pops up again right when we needed it, really.
Yeah.
Yesterday against I can't even remember. I've forgotten who even played it. It was that dog against Wigan, and I mean, it could be said, I guess, that like those goals. Well, did they change the game? Do you think? I know we came flying out yesterday, and you know picked up a goal pretty soon on. Don't know if I'd say it changed the game, but you know it definitely gave us it gave us what we needed at the time.
Yeah, I agree. I actually think it did change the game in the sense that we were great for 3 minutes, then we scored, and then we just went back to being rubbish again.
Yeah.
And I think that's like we've seen that quite a lot with Reading, is that they've probably gone ahead in games and thought, right, let's try and protect this. And I mean, I don't think we're good enough to do that.
No.
And like, I want to bring up a negative because we're going to talk about Wigan's goal next. And my negative is I don't enjoy watching Paddy Lane play for Reading. I've really not been impressed with him since he joined. I think he's massively underperformed expectation. And I'm not saying their goal is solely his fault, but his attempt to close down and get back was nothing short of pathetic. And yeah, at that point, I'm just like, what are we doing? Why we've got young talent on the bench that we've not seen. Again, it's a similar point to the point I made yesterday. If this guy is good enough to play in the Europa League, Jesus Christ, he's good enough to play against Wigan. So I'd really like to see that change for Wickham at home. But yeah, Paddy Lane not good enough for me, and was probably the worst performer, I thought, for Reading last night.
I think that was definitely one of the worst performances of the season from any of the players, unfortunately for Paddy. But like I just think like our issue on the pitch at the moment is like with the wingers, you know, with Randall Williams being out, you know, his attributes clearly benefit our team. We really saw the impact that he had when he does play. Same with Chayariwa, clear to see how he's improved since he signed. You know, was relatively consistent or becoming relatively consistent with scoring. Was a key player for us in that in the sort of forward positions. But then, you know, our backup options now that they're injured, Lane, obviously, like you just said, he's been poor. Richie, I just don't think he is anywhere near the level of what we were all hoping that he would be. It just seems stupid for him to come on as well, and not to have Young come on.
Yeah, mate, I was fuming when I saw that board go up. I was buzzing that Lane was coming off, but to see who's being replaced by Richie, I couldn't believe it. I don't know what Liam Richardson has watched there to think that that's the right decision to make. Like, to me, and don't get me wrong, Liam Richardson knows a lot more about tactics than I do, but to me, that game was screaming out for a bit of pace and tenacity on the wing. And when we've got a player that, granted, again, we haven't seen yet, but is supposed to have those qualities, why would you then bring on a 36-year-old who is completely devoid of pace to just slow everything down? It made no sense to me.
Yeah, I really would love to know what the reasoning and the logic behind it was, because, I mean, like you said, we needed pace, we needed creativity, we needed a winger that would be happy to take on his man. And I think in his interview, in Caden Young's interview, and from what I've read about him, he isn't somebody like Chayariwa as well, who is afraid to take on their man. And I think when Richie came on, it just did nothing to the game. There was some loose. He did make one nice pass, but there were about three or four terrible passes that led to Wigan attacks. You know, just a lot of shouting and not really too much else. But I guess at the end of the day, you know, we did go on to score the winner after he did get introduced. But Paudie popping up in the 87th minute or whenever it was to get the 3 points. Exactly what we needed.
Yeah, I agree. So there's 2 points then I want to talk about on this goal. And the first point I would suggest is absolutely massive for Reading, and that is purely that we're scoring from set pieces. For so long, honestly, for as long as I can remember that me and you have been going to games, Reading have been terrible at set pieces.
Yeah.
The goal that Paudie scored is like not far off a carbon copy from the one he scored. Was that against Northampton recently? Anyway.
Again from a wing free kick. Was it Northampton? Yeah. Was it the I think it was the Exeter game, wasn't it?
God, there's too many games too quickly. But yeah, so good to see Reading like threatening with attacking like in the air with aerial duels like going forward. Because Paudie O'Connor brought in right with this sort of like everyone's saying that he's amazing in the air. And he's not been bad by any means, but now we're really seeing that. Like he won 100% of his aerial duels last night, 3 of those attacking aerial duels and 5 of them defensive. Like that's fantastic. And it can only do us good to score from set pieces because, as I said, literally last week, I do think Reading fall into the trap of being slightly over-reliant on Lewis Wing and Jack Marriott to provide all of our goals. So any other sort of way that we can score, I think is great.
For sure. Should we mention Wing quickly as well? I guess just before that as well, it is kind of funny how like the 3 players that have been getting pelters since the last match in Dorset, Paudie and Wing are the ones that pop up with both goals and the assist for the winner as well. But I think Wing has just been I just don't get the hate over him. Like he's such a key player and he's one of the best in the league. I think people are just frustrated that he's, not pushed forward enough, and you can't watch him just smack them in from 30 yards out every week as he used to do. But is what it is. He's still popping up with assists and goals. So what's his? I don't know if you can bring it up quickly. What's his best like return rate for Reading, goals and assists?
I'm almost certain it's this year because last year I think he scored 9 goals. Here we go. 9 goals and 6 assists. Yeah, this is his most assists he's ever had in a season with 8, equal to 23-24.
What's he on? Is he on?
He's got 8 goals and 8 assists so far this season.
8 goals, 8 assists. Yeah, I mean, so like it's extremely likely that come the end of the season he's going to be in double figures for both of those, which is just like, I mean, you're taking that all day. You're taking that all day.
Absolutely. When you look at the position that he occupies on the pitch as well, to get 10 goals,
exactly,
and assists is.
I mean, I guess like the only argument against it is if he's doing that from the position that he's playing in, is he going to be even better if you push him forward? And I genuinely don't think I've got an answer for it. Like, I mean, I have no idea. Like he's not super quick, so I feel like maybe just sort of being able to jog around in the positions that he's playing at the moment is actually where he is now best suited. But it's one of those questions that I don't think anyone will ever be able to answer, unfortunately.
No, I agree. But so I mean, I also had a few comments on Wing's performance against Wimbledon. But if you take that out, it's 4 assists in the 3 games. I mean, it's 4 assists in the 4 games, including the Wimbledon match, which, it's huge figures. Like they're the kind of numbers that you kind of get from like world class players that people are banging on about all over social media at how good they are. We've got that in League One, we have fans that are derogatory towards him. I don't understand it. I hope it would stop, but look. Where he proved again last night exactly what he can do.
I'm just looking at his complete history now, and like this is his best season, really, in terms of, or this will be, unless he picks up a terrible injury. This is very likely going to be his best season. 10 and 8 in 23-24, 9 and 6 last season, and he's on 8 and 8 already. So vital player. Cannot drop them.
I completely agree. I think I read on X earlier today that since the start of last season, he's got more assists than any other League One player. which, I mean, to me doesn't come as a surprise, but it might to some of the naysayers. Last question for you then, Jim, before we can call this one a day. Ben Ward debut, what did you make of that?
I thought it was solid. Yeah, I thought it was good. Didn't get caught out. I think there was one moment where we got spun, and I can't remember if was it the offside goal that they scored at the beginning. Either way, it led to nothing. But yeah, I thought he didn't look out of place whatsoever. Looked like he had a little bit of pace too, which is always nice at this level. Yeah, solid signing.
Yeah, I agree. I thought like as good as the debut can go, really. I mean, the first thing that I thought is, why have we not seen him prior to this? But there we go. We saw him last night and he was great. And the one thing that I thought, and don't get me wrong, not Usain Bolt levels, but actually showed a bit of pace, which I don't want to knock Paudie on what I think was probably his best performance for Reading, but he's not blessed with pace. So to have someone who has got a little bit of burners alongside him will definitely help Reading going forward, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so, I mean, we've got some really, like, we've got some nice options at centre half now, don't we? Ward, hopefully Derek Williams is back soon. Paudie, Dorset, you know, I mean, I know people are saying that he's not playing particularly well, but I mean, he's popped up with 2 key goals. And Stickland and Burns, obviously. So yeah, I think we're definitely we're pretty well stacked in centre half now.
Yeah, I completely agree. Cool. I think that's pretty much it then for the Wigan game. We managed to find quite a few positives there, so I'm happy with our takeaways. But there are still a fair few improvements that Reading need to make. But the games continue to come thick and fast. Wycombe at home at the weekend, a game which could have huge implications because I believe both teams are on the same points. And Wycombe have not been too bad recently, so would be nice to get a win over them. But a couple of home games for Reading now. So let's hope that we can put that Wimbledon defeat to one side and pick up some points and a run of form. Thanks for joining me anyway, Jim. We'll chat after that Wycombe game, I'm sure. And thanks everyone who listened.
Yeah.
We'll catch you next time. Cheers, guys.
Yeah, see ya.